The Shir Amalah, Psalm 132, is King David's personal prayer that he be permitted to build the temple. The psalm is associated with two episodes. The first, as explained by the Malbim, is when David brought the Ark of the Covenant into the Holy of Holies after transporting it a distance with great travail. The later episode is like the Ibn Ezra, who says Psalm 132 was likely to have been written after King David gathered with the elders of Israel when a pestilence struck the people, and they did not find a place to offer sacrifices on behalf of the nation because the tabernacle was in a faraway place. The Talmud enumerates the places that the Mishkan stood. It was in the desert for 40 years less one, in Gilgal for 14 years while the land of Israel was being conquered and divided. After that it was in Shiloh for 369 years, and it was in Nob and Gibeon for 57 years. This includes the time the ark was held by the Plishtim, who had captured it after the Israelites brought it into battle, thinking it would ensure victory. Because it caused them nothing but troubles, the Plishtim returned it to Israel, depositing it in Kiryat Yearim with a gift, and there it stayed for 20 years. King David then had a glorious victory over the Plishtim and resolved to bring the Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem. However, he erred in transporting it on a horse-drawn cart, forgetting the law that it can only be carried by the priests. As a result, an accident occurred and one of the workers was killed. David became extremely upset because he could not bring the ark to an honored place. He subsequently recalls the halakha and with great care, ceremony, and celebration successfully brings the ark to Jerusalem. However, when he sees that he is dwelling in a cedar palace and the ark is in a tent of curtains, he again becomes upset and seeks to build a magnificent temple. His request, though, is denied by heaven through the prophet. Years later, Hashem is angry with the people of Israel, so he stirs up their king against them by telling David to perform a census. David again errs in holding a direct count rather than having them contribute a half shekel each to indirectly get the total. Because of this, God strikes the nation with a pestilence. The pestilence rages, but when the angel stretches out his hand over Jerusalem to destroy it, David prays for the nation. HaKadosh Baruch Hu accepts his prayer and ends the plague. The precise place that the plague ends is the threshing floor of Arvana the Yebusi. The prophet Gad tells David to build an altar to Hashem there. David buys the threshing floor, builds the altar, and offers burnt offerings and peace offerings. The Meiri explains in Psalm 132 that David thought to build the Beis Mikdash and made great efforts to do so until Natan the prophet told him that he was not the one to do so. However, he promised him that his son after him would build it. His descendants would be established as the royal dynasty, and provided they did not sin, would actually rule. After the prophet, though, had him build an altar to Hashem and his prayers were accepted, David recognized that this was the designated place for the temple, which had not previously been known. It was then that he wrote this psalm. The psalm portrays how building the Beis Mikdash was almost an obsession for King David. It dominates his mind to the extent that he literally cannot sleep or sit quietly in his home. His feelings are so strong that he feels compelled to utter an oath to build it. Whether he is in a busy city or a tranquil meadow, the calling rings in his ears. In the midst of this, he calls upon God to manifest himself in the place that is most appropriate, and place the Ark of the Covenant there as an expression of his might. David's vision of the temple is one in which the Kohanim radiate righteousness and are spurred on by the joyous cries of the devout. In his prayer, King David invokes his own relationship with God, intimating that if he constructed the temple, it would be a sanctification of God's name. His own service would be greater, and this influence would extend to future kings of Israel. He then mentions that Zion is the place Hashem loves, and that his desire is that it should be a place of prosperity that extends to the poor. The verse that the priests will dress in the image of salvation hints at the idea that the world was created for the days of the Messiah. The Messiah comes from the line of David, and the horn of David is a symbol for his prestige and strength. The candle of David is a symbol for his wisdom. So to speak, part of the psalm is about making David the prism through which the light of the Beis Mikdash shines. In the end, this will show up the enemies of David as disgraces, while those that emulate him will display a sparkling crown. King David represents the entire Jewish people. Therefore, just like the idea of building the Beis Mikdash consumed his mind, so too it should consume our mind. Just like he wished to see the priests radiate righteousness and salvation, so too should we. Just like he wished to absorb the light of the temple and shine it on the Jewish people should want to absorb the light of Torah and shine it on to all men. Thank you.